I wonder what game I should play today. What's that noise? It sounds very familiar. Oh my god. Trove, a game that's an action voxel-based sandbox MMORPG. Wow, that was a mouthful. Now, at first glance, the game looks kind of and while some cases that is true, it's actually pretty fun. But as always, some things must slow down. Today, I want to talk about the rise and fall of Trove. I mainly want to focus on where I believe Trove has changed quite a lot in terms of its quality and relevance. I'm saying this now because I know there has been a ton of updates for this game, and going through every update can make this video extremely repetitive and long. So that's why I'm going to be talking about some things that I think are important rather than everything. But before I get started, I want to share a personal story with you guys about Trove. So I discovered Trove during my middle school year, which was a time when I was super big into MMOs. The closed beta was announced during that time, and I was super excited to try it out. I was also excited because of the fact that the game looked similar to another game called Cube World. Now, I can make another video on this, but Cube World was basically another action voxel-based sandbox that had a ton of hype around it when it first came out. The game itself was good, but there were issues. The developer of the game would basically just be dead silent for months to even years, yes, years, without giving any type of news or major updates towards the game. People of course grew frustrated and demanded answers, and honestly, I don't blame them. Because you had to pay money in order to play it, and the developer made all these great promises about keeping the game updated, which he really didn't do. Here's my thing about the situation. It's okay for a game developer to take their time to work on a game because it's not really easy to build a game from scratch. But it's important to be active on social media with your customers as well as keeping them informed. Now, he did release a full version of the game last year, but from what I'm hearing, it's even worse than the alpha stage, which is a big yikes. There's more to this whole Cube World situation, but let me finally get started with the topic of this video. Trove was revealed on November 13th, 2013. That's also when players could sign up and try out the alpha version of the game. The company behind the game back then was Tryon Worlds. I say back then because Tryon Worlds was actually bought by another game company called Gameago. Anyways, the game overall had a good reception during the alpha stage. I wasn't able to play it back then because I didn't know about Trove during that time. Later in September 25th, 2014, the closed beta was launched, and this is when I was able to get access in order to play it. Now, I remember this was the time where Trove was getting a bunch of new players because, as I mentioned before, people were frustrated with how Cube World was being handled by the developer. There were even some videos comparing Trove to Cube World that got a bit of attention and hype. Personally, I would say that the games are almost the same. Trove was more focused on the MMO aspects, while Cube World was more focused on the single player aspects. It also had multiplayer, but it wasn't really fleshed out. The combat, however, is similar since you have the freedom to attack, cast abilities, and dodge in any direction. Also, Trove had a way better building system compared to Cube World. Like literally, Trove had way more to offer than Cube World. Plus also the fact that more people will be able to play Trove once it went open beta. I would consider people were mostly excited for Trove because of the fact that developers were involved with the community and constantly kept the game updated. Down the line, more cool stuff would be added to the game, such as gears, mounts, new classes, events, and many more. Overall, it was just a pretty good time to grind out those classes and see how powerful you can steamroll through dungeons and bosses with your friends. Of course, since this is a free-to-play game, there are microtransactions. Yay! At first, it wasn't too bad since it was really only costumes, designs, class packs, and other minor things. Down the line, however, it got worse. Now, like I said, the microtransactions weren't that bad in the beginning of Trove's lifespan, but the developers kept on adding paywalls to the content in the game. I think a great example of this would have to be the Geode update, which was basically a major update that allowed you to travel in these caves to get pets, new upgrades, as well as getting new materials. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, the developers of course decided to milk the heck out of this update by adding packs and other stuff if you want to progress faster than other players. There are other examples of how the developers would do this in other major updates, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. I also believe that some updates for the game came out way too late in order to keep the newer players interested. One example of this would have to be clubs. Now, clubs in the early days of Trove were cool, but there wasn't really much you can do besides making them look amazing. There was an update that added in a system where you can basically do exclusive quests in clubs to earn currency to buy exclusive items. Also, you can work with your club to earn buildings that give your character multiple upgrades. All of this would have been cool if they added it during the early release of the game. I understand that some updates can take a while to make and the developers probably had a roadmap that they had to follow for the game, but I believe some updates should have come during different times. Now here's the real question, is Trove still a good game to this day? Well, yes and no. I feel like the game itself would have had more relevance if they slowed down with the amount of microtransactions involved, as well as making specific updates coming out at different times. Of course, there are other reasons on why the game has fallen, but I believe that microtransactions and some of the updates are the biggest reasons. Now, people may be wondering, why do I even care about this game at all? Well, Trove was actually one of the early games that I did on my channel. I just enjoyed the game a ton around that time and even before. Here's something I can compare Trove to. Do you guys know something that I admire so much that you put time and effort into it because of the feeling? That's Trove for me in a nutshell, and honestly, it's one of my favorite PC games of all time. But what do you guys think? Am I crazy to think that this game had potential to be extremely big? Or, if you haven't played Trove at all, what do you think about this video? As always, don't forget to leave a comment as well as liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching and have a good one.